Hello, it's Grammy Alma here, and today I thought, since I'm going to do another video for you, I thought I would go ahead and do another poem from my book, Wow Created Wow. Now, this book is wonderful. I've told you that. Now, and I want to say this to you. I want you to understand that this book will make a very good stocking stuffer, I think. Because if you want to get some little something just to go in a stocking, but give them something perhaps that they'll read, especially if they like poetry, why not give them something inspirational? They may not read it while you're there, but you never know the things that you do, what kind of impact it's going to have on someone's life. And so these are certainly some words that will help you in your day-to-day living. So this is just something that I thought I would say. This Wow Created Wow is a very good book, and I'm not saying it because I wrote it. It just happens to be a very good book. I get great things about it, and I tell my friends, it would be great. You're telling me all these things about it, but why don't you go on Amazon and write about it instead of telling me, so that everybody will know how great the book is. But it is, and I think time will show you just that fact, because it is a great book. And not because I wrote it, but because he inspired me to write it. And that's why it's a great book. And I thought I would do a poem from page 264 of my book today. And the name of this poem is Ultimately. And I want to tell you a little bit about ultimately. Ultimately is a word that means the buck stops here. When it's all said and done, everything that happens eventually in our lives stops with the Lord. Nothing can happen to us without him knowing about it. And so when you have that in your repertoire of faith, then that'll help you to be able to go through some things that you ordinarily would not be able to go through. And so that's why I thought I would do the poem Ultimately today, because when I wrote it, it spoke to my heart, and it has spoken to my heart several times since then, and it has helped me through some things that I thought I would not be able to go through. But because of this poem that I wrote almost a year ago, I didn't get it published until June, but almost a year ago, and here it is helping me now in my daily walk and my struggle and in my faith. And so I hope it'll be a blessing to you as well. Well, I've talked enough about it. Let me go ahead and read this poem to you. As a young person, when I first went to college, I knew what my life was about. I knew what I wanted to be. I had my life plans all laid out. I knew the number of kids that I would someday have. I knew the type of home that I would someday buy. For I had grabbed life by the tail, and I was reaching for the sky. And that's something my mother had always told me to do. Reach for the sky, and you're bound to land among the treetops. And so I had that in mind when I wrote this poem. What I didn't realize was that it was not all about me. It was about my life planner, the God of all eternity. When I wanted to go left but had to go right, I shrugged off the inconvenience and kept my well laid out plans within my sight. When I tripped and fell while running my race, I picked myself up, dusted my knees, and wiped my face. I kept skipping along, though I had to hobble now and again. I kept moving toward my dreams, though sometimes I was too winded to sing my song. By the time I had climbed a few mountains and labeled up some hills, I began to wonder to myself, hey, what's up? I wonder what gives. For this is not the type of life that I had planned to live. Then I thought about Jonah from the Bible days, who had not wanted to do God's bidding, who wanted to follow his own ways. But that was Jonah, and I am me. Besides, the God of the Bible does not have special plans for me. He deals with superstars like David, Daniel, Elijah, and the Hebrew boys. He does not bother with folk like you and me, who have always been free to do whatever we enjoy. Then why are all these things happening to me? An elderly neighbor said to me one day, "You are not your own boss. Jesus has the final say. Plans were made for you way before you were born. You have to take your faith in your hand and begin your God-planned sojourn." You see, Jeremiah 29:11 says that the Lord has plans for you. So, baby girl, just you wait and see where he leads you to. Yes, ultimately, he has the final say. I'm just glad that he gives us time to change our planned route according to what his plans say. Though this day be filled with chaos and storms, I know that this page is but one from the planned book that was written well before I was born. So I'll not worry about what's coming ahead. Because just like the lilies of the field and the sparrows of the air, he has always kept me clothed and has always kept me fed. I'll just lean on him because ultimately he cares for me, I know. Because he finished this story of mine a long time ago. Ultimately, what a word, what a word. One of the most beautiful words that I've ever heard. So I would not change one step of my journey as I found my path for my life. I'll just hold on to ultimately and say, ultimately, oh, ultimately. Ultimately, oh, ultimately. God has a plan for me, and the name of that plan I call ultimately. Ultimately, ooh, ultimately. Ultimately, oh, 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 ultimately. Ultimately, woo, 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 ultimately. Ultimately, ow, 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 ultimately. God has a plan for me, and the name of that plan I call ultimately. And I hope that this will be put into a song one day, and I don't know if it will or not, but I've had it copyrighted, and then I've written some notes down, some bars down, and so we're going to see what we can do with that. Supposed to be going to record it maybe later on before the year's out. Those are my plans, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, here's the little snippet of something that I've come up with. Ultimately, ooh, ultimately. Ultimately, oh, ultimately, 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 God has a plan for me. The name of that plan I call ultimately. And you know, if you keep that in your mind, when things go wrong in your life, if you just hum these bars. Ultimately, ooh, ultimately, ultimately, hey, hey, ultimately, God has a plan for me. The name of that plan I call ultimately. Ultimately, ultimately. And you know what I do? I hum that as I do my work around my house. And I have some other things that I have put in this song, but I'm not going to share all of them with you. But I just want you to know that if you can just get a refrain or a beat in your mind, and it can take you through your day no matter what your day brings to you, because ultimately you will remember to take it to the Lord. There again, this is in my book, Wow Created Wow, and I have a little snippet of the song. You can see it's in my little hand there, and I don't know music, but I've written enough to pick that out on the piano so that you can see that I have that there. And then ultimately, it's the last poem that I have in this book, but it's going to be a poem song. And then I also started my book, Wow Created Wow, off with another song of mine that I've written. And I don't think I'll give you a snippet of that one today. You can just... But anyway, I hope to have both of these set to music by the end of the year, and then we'll see where they go. Who knows? Grammy Alma is full of all kinds of things. You know, life is about living. You might as well live it and enjoy it. And if you can uplift your fellow man while you're doing it, then go ahead and do it. What is it going to cost you? If somebody laughs at you, so what? You enjoyed it. You think I didn't enjoy doing that little snippet of a video that I just did? I did, because it was playing, and I like playing. I guess that's why I taught for so many years. And then, and I always said I wanted to write, and so the Lord has enabled me to be able to do just that, and that's what I'm doing. So you have a blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and just remember, ultimately, everything, you know, like they say, the buck stops here. Everything stops with the Lord, ultimately. And this is Grammy Alma, and the writer of this book, Wow Created Wow. And that stands for the worker of wonders, created a woman of work. And I think you can tell I am a very willing woman of work. I do what I can while I can for the Lord. I make no mistake about it. I just do what I can. And how someone sees it, that's up to them. But I'm going to do what I can. Because one of these days, I hope to hear my Savior say, well done. When I get there, I want to hear someone say, Alma Jones, come on in. Job well done. Then everything will have been okay and all right. None of this will matter. But in the meantime, I'm going to play a little bit too. All right, you have a great day. And don't forget to pick up a copy of Wow Created Wow. And remember, this will make a great stocking stuffer. I know you didn't know that there was a song in here, did you? I know that. There are lots of things that you don't know about this book, and you won't know if you don't get it. So take a look at it and tell me what you think about it. And then I have several other things that I'm going to be writing on as well, because I'm not going to stop. I've asked the Lord to allow me to keep going and going and going, and just let me wear out and not rust out. And so I'm trying to give the best that I have to my writing, just like I did when I taught. And they tell me I was a good teacher. I don't know, but they say that I was. And so I'm learning on this craft of writing. But that's okay. By the time I finish, if the Lord allows me to live, I will have it down pat. And I will have enjoyed the journey all the way, just like I did my teaching. By the time I retired from teaching, I had it down pat. And so the same thing will be with my writing, if it's the Lord's will. You have a blessed day, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.